I think an interesting thing to talk about is, you know, not exactly the concept of time, but how you kind of use your time to how you distribute your time across, your daily tasks. Are you a kind of person who uses a lot of time doing one specific thing? Like or are you more of a person who distributes your time across a lot of different activities during your day? Because I've been on both sides of the fence.
Mm.
I've been a person where I focus in on, for example, playing guitar.
Mm.
That's my main goal, and everything else is just kind of, um, secondary. Or are you more like, I guess it's the more common thing to distribute your focus across a lot of different things,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think I do a bit of both daily. I mean, sometimes I have to spend a lot of time on one thing if it's reading for school
Mm.
or doing a project or yeah, I tend to spend a lot of time focusing on certain things, but I think it just depends on what I have to do and what I feel like my priorities are. Sometimes I'll spend a day doing a bunch of different things if I have a bunch of different things to do.
Mm.
It could be like small things such as going down to get groceries, then go up. I need to check my emails. There are some important things from the state, or like different little things.
Yeah, and I guess another question in this area would, maybe the more essential question is, what are your priorities, like, kind of in your daily life? Like, what do you prioritize versus what is something that is kind of secondary to that?
Mm.
You mentioned reading for school. We've known each other for a bit, so I don't think that's one of your primary things. I
No.
believe that's, you've described that as something you do so you can get to the thing you actually want to do.
Yeah, my priority in life is to be content and to be happy and like doing what I want to do. And that doesn't always mean that I can do what I want to do all the time, but it means that if I like having free time, I like playing video games, um like watching TV shows and stuff. I just like chilling, but I
Mm,
know that in order to do that, I need to get stuff done. And
mm,
oftentimes I can't get stuff done and I can't do like the important things if I procrastinate a lot, which is why I think I'm decently good at doing what I feel like I need to do, um, such as schoolwork, like studying, reading for psychology. And it's not because it's things that I feel like there's any pressure that I need to read this chapter, because there isn't really anything that's making me do it other than the fact that I want to learn and I also want to get a career afterwards so that I can keep doing something I like and I can keep living a good life,
mm.
you know? So yeah, that's like my goal to have enough time for myself and the things I want to do.
Does that for you equal, now you mentioned happiness, does that equal happiness for you? Being able to do the things that you want to do, like you mentioned, playing video games, does that make you content? Like, do you achieve happiness through that? Like, what is your sense of, and I know that's a kind of a deep philosophical way to start out, but you know, you did mention it, but when you get to play video games after you've done these
Hmm.
things like reading for school, when you then get to play video games or watch a movie, you're a movie and TV guy,
Hmm.
like, what is, does that, is that your idea of happiness and being happy?
I mean, I think there's a lot of different things that make me happy. Another thing is like spending time with my girlfriend, talking to her a lot.
You don't think it is?
No, yes,
Oh,
there's a lot of things I do think are
uh,
very important. No.
I thought you said, I don't think it's spending time with my girlfriend.
Oh no, no, no. It's one of the
Wow.
it's the most important one. Um
All right.
and and yeah, the thing is I'm not always happy when I watch a TV show or play a game, you
Mm,
know. Sometimes the circumstances aren't great, you know. And I wouldn't call myself happy, but there are things like the things that I enjoy doing. I think that like when I can do them without too much stress about other things, like I don't have to worry about a bunch of other things, I think that's when I'm content, if not happy. I do think I'm quite happy in general.
yeah, I think, so to me it sounds like you're kind of talking about two separate kinds of, like, speaking with your girlfriend
Hmm.
and getting the feeling of, happiness. Let's call it that. Doing that, I totally get, because I think that's something, deeper than, let's say, playing a video game. Although, as we both know, video games can kind of, in some ways, certain video games can touch your soul, make you feel things. But speaking to your real life girlfriend is obviously
Yeah,
a different category.
they're not the same.
They're not the same, and I would place like playing video games as more of a satisfactory thing, or a feeling of gratification when you get to do that, and you get to be stimulated in a way,
Yeah,
versus speaking to your girlfriend, or whatever.
yeah,
But though, so the way you structure your time is that you want to kind of get things you don't want to do, like like reading for school, out of the way, so you can do those things.
yeah. I like managing my time so that I have slots to do what I want to do. Because that's the thing, like I don't see me playing video games as happiness. I don't see me watching, like, having time to watch a TV show at night, or like I don't see me watching a TV show as happiness. But I see the fact that I'm able to do these things that I love, that I want to do, and like my girlfriend is all the time like my source of happiness. It's like when I talk to her, it's not just like a means for happiness, like that is happiness. That is a different thing, like even in bad days, even days where I'm stressed and stuff, like she's still my happiness, but like in other things where it's like more like hobbies, it's like more of the fact that I feel like my happiness depends on whether I'm able to do the things that I want to do. And that's, in a lot of senses, like I'm also really lucky to be able to do that a lot, like, and this is not to say that everyone who lives in Denmark is happy or has like the free time,
We live in Denmark, by the way.
Yeah, we live in Denmark, and like living in Denmark comes with a lot of perks that people around the world just don't have, like I don't have to worry about I mean, of course, now with like the Ukraine war and some of the electricity bills, it's there's a bit more like focus on like paychecks, or like and the next bill. But typically, because of our social net here in Denmark, such as free healthcare, free school, we get paid to study, and it's enough for me, plus a couple of other like things I do to live, and to live comfortably. I have an apartment, I can pay for food, I can pay for healthy food, so I feel better. And I also have a lot of free time because of this. I have the health and like the free time to really pursue what I want to do, So it's not just like there is an element of like being in a privileged position that I'm able to have a good life, and be content and do things I want to do, which makes me happy. But then it's like the things that I can control, I also try to control, such as managing my time and spending more time doing what I'm doing. I have like a thing I tell myself of, like when I start to get like stressed or like unhappy while doing something, I often tend to like put it away as much as I can. Some things you can't, sometimes you have to accept, like during exam periods, if I'm stressed about the exam tomorrow, I can't just put it away, because like I have to do it.
But those things that you then can put away, do you come back to them later? Or
Yes.
Okay, so that's that. Well, it's interesting this, because it is a blessing that we here in Denmark have all this welfare, and that among other things creates this freedom of free time, and where we can really choose what to, not completely freely, like,
No.
as you said, there are things we have to do.
Yeah.
But that's why I thought the question was interesting to talk about,
Mm-hmm.
because given that we have all this free time, and we more or less get to choose how we use it, in what way do we use it?
Mm-hmm.
And then I think my way used to be a bit like, it was more like one thing at a time, like or I guess what I mean.
Systematic.
Yeah, I guess what I mean is I don't think about the things I do as a means to get to another thing. Like when I'm reading, I don't think, okay, let me just get this done so I can get to watch this TV show that I really like. It's more like I put my everything into all these things. Like reading for school, for example, reading in a textbook. I'm like, okay, I gotta read this and I gotta learn it, and I don't even want to associate that with doing it for school when I'm doing it I just want it to be as as clean as possible, and just have it be, I'm reading so I can get more knowledgeable,
Yeah.
and I won't allow myself to think about, I'm doing it for school. I'm doing it so I can, so I can afterwards play this video game or whatever. And I kind of do that with everything I do.
Mm-hmm.
But I am a human being, and I do prioritize things.
Yeah.
And but doing my first semester, that's kind of the way I thought about things, like
Yeah.
working out, playing guitar, getting better at playing guitar, reading, like all these things you do, you have to put your everything into every single one of them. And now we're at our third semester,
Yeah.
I've kind of begun to I'm a bit more picky about it now, whereas reading, I don't, I still do that, and I still think it's important, but it's not like this. It's not. I see now reading as something that isn't as important as me getting better at playing piano.
Mm.
But um, I also I think about it like the activities that I do, the hobbies, are they progressing my development as a human being?
Yeah.
Because if they're not, then I think that's maybe what kind of turns me off about it,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why I don't really sit a lot anymore and watch TV shows. And that sounds like I think I'm better than anyone. That's not what it is. But watching a TV show, it can be enriching, and you can learn a lot from TV shows. And it can help you. I think conceptually, I think it can help you grow as a human being. But to me, getting better at actually doing something like playing the piano, it's just another ball game.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I sometimes choose to distribute my time to those kind of things.
I mean, it's we like you and I, because we're in a position where we can do this. We distribute our time to the things that matters most to us. And going back to I'm not saying that when I read, I'm like, I need to finish this chapter so I can go play a video game. It's like I don't want to, like, the things I do. It's not that I want to just get them over with. It's like when I read a chapter, I want to know it because I want to improve. It's like another part of like the whole being content and doing what I want to do is the fact that like I'm keeping up in other aspects of my life. I want to keep progressing. If I go to play a video game after I've just like skimmed through like a text just to get here, it doesn't feel satisfying anymore. I think there's a big level of like satisfaction for me. I like to be good at things. I like to challenge myself, and I like to develop. And it's like, but I also like my free time, but I like it to feel more earned. There's some days where I don't get to have a lot of free time during the night, after having like, because the texts I've had to read or like had to write have taken up a lot of my time that day, and then I don't have time for the things I really want to do, and that's fine because it wouldn't feel satisfying if I just left it. If I just cut it short. I was like, you know what, I just won't finish this thing that I actually, even though I don't like want to do it, I want to do it for myself.
Yeah.
Because it's like it's still work, but it's like I want to do it for myself. I want to improve. But it's like I won't just cut it short to do something I want to do. It's like I want to earn my own happiness.
Yeah.
And again, like, because I really want to stress it, it's like I am coming from a position where I'm able to do this. Like I'm able to have a life where it's like, oh, I didn't get to do exactly what I wanted this night. That's fine. I'll do it tomorrow.
You're not like working 3 jobs.
Exactly, right? I'm not like a single mother of 3 children who has to work.
Oh, I thought you were.
No, I haven't told you yet, but yeah, it's a surprise. No, but like some people just don't have this the ability to do this and like the free time, and that's horrible, and like, but we're lucky, but we also can't wallow in it,
Yeah.
right? It's just like I want to keep stressing it, but yeah, and the times when I don't get to do what I want to do, or like have free time a lot, that's fine. I'll get to do it another day. Then I'll think, okay, I spend this day doing something important, and then tomorrow maybe I'll have more time to do something else.
Yeah. So also thinking about it in days, like, and not just one day at a time. You think about, okay, well then tomorrow I might be able to do this thing that I couldn't.
Yeah.
I get that. I guess the main distinction between you and I would then be actually having the idea of doing something for the enjoyment of doing it
Mm.
in your head. Whereas for you, and I know you just said you don't always get to do what you want, like playing a certain video game.
Yeah.
But to me, it's more like if I ever sit down and play a video game, it's because it's more of like a natural thing that kind of occurs.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's actually one day where I've actually managed to do all the things that I set out to do.
Yeah.
Well, what the fuck do I do? The day's not over. I guess
Yeah.
I can sit down and play a video game. I feel like I'm cheating a bit, but I guess I'll just sit down and play a video
Yeah.
game and enjoy my time for once. Like me getting to do something like that or watching a TV show. That's more something like, okay, it's getting dark outside. You've tried to read this paragraph in this textbook like six times and you can't do it. That means your brain is actually telling you, no,
Yeah.
this is stupid.
Yeah.
You actually can't mentally do it.
Yeah.
And that's when, okay, well, I guess I just gotta give up then.
Yeah.
Like I don't actually kind of, and that's I guess that's a bit unreasonable, but it's just because I have so high standards for myself
Yeah.
that I don't actually stop then, and unless I have to.
Yeah. I think like something we've talked about, I think a difference between you and I is that you see more like day to day, like every day, like
Oh,
take
yeah.
every day as it comes.
Oh yeah,
I'm more of like a plan ahead. I'm not like, all right, so this week I'll do this week I'll do that.
you're not a
You know?
robot.
No, but like I look forward like in my week, right? Like I'll be like, okay, depending on what I have like Monday and Tuesday, how much do I have to read in my weekend, Or like is it very heavy like reading material for the first couple days, but then maybe during the week it gets easier. Like I look ahead,
Yeah.
and I plan more out. And it allows me to more I guess have more time, But it's also like I maybe don't live in like the day to day as much, like I don't, I guess like scheduling things makes it a bit more systematic.
Yeah. It definitely does make it a bit more systematic. I think the reason why I kind of enjoy the day-to-day kind of approach to life, or I think it's because I don't want to have all these worries about next week. I don't want to have all these worries about the end of this week. I feel like I am at my most effective. I'm at my most optimal when I'm just concentrating on right here, right now, this day. What can I get done right now? I don't even know if I would be able to fit like 2 weeks ahead from now. I think I would just explode, because to me, a day is already so fucking filled with a lot of things.
Yeah.
Like an optimal day for me would be, okay, so you need to work out, you need to get better at playing the piano, you need to get better at playing, the guitar, and you need to read, and you need to clean your apartment, and you need to do all these things. You need to like if I and that's kind of what fills my head on a day-to-day basis. And if I had to combine that with the next day, which is just more of that, and an entire week that would just be like, dude, okay, let's just take one day at a time, because this is overwhelming. Which I mean, it is kind of admirable that you can do that, and people do whatever works for them. But for me, as you said, it's day to day.
Yeah. And there's also the whole thing like if I'm not saying like I plan it. I'm not like, all right, tomorrow at 8 to 12 I do this, and then 12 to but it's like it is more systematic. And sometimes you just there can be one day where I'm like, okay, on Wednesday, like I'll have a day off where I can really read ahead, I can really get a lot of work done. And then the day comes and I'm just not in it, like you said, like it's just one of those days where I'm reading a paragraph multiple times, it's just not coming to me.
Yeah.
And then I keep trying, instead of like, and sometimes the best thing in that situation would be like, I'm gonna get the same amount of work done like if I just stop now and like just spend that day, except that this is just not my day. I'll do something fun, I'll do something relaxing so that I can be ready for another day, and then yes, I'll have more to do the other days, right? But I'll hopefully be more ready for it, rather than what I often do is then just like try to burn myself through, and I don't really end up learning anything or getting anywhere.
No. Usually you don't, when you try to like push your way through this mental burnout.
Yeah.
But do you then feel bad about it afterwards? After, let's say you put those studies away because your brain is telling you this is fucking stupid, you can't do it.
Yeah.
And you do something else. Do you then feel a bit bad about it? Because I still have that where, You were
Mm.
supposed to read that full chapter and you didn't, and
Yeah.
now what are you doing now? Well, you're watching some random TV show. You know, it's,
Yeah.
I still get this feeling of guilt. It is guilt.
Yeah. I get that if I end up doing something that also doesn't satisfy me. If I spend that time and I have a great time the rest of that day, you know? I watch a TV show that really says something to me, or I play a video game that really says something to me, or I spend a lot of time with my girlfriend. Either way, that's always a good thing, right?
Mm.
But like one of these other days, or I go out for a run where I feel really good, right? Afterwards. Then I'm fine if like I feel like I've gotten something good out of that day. But sometimes it's like I'll be scrolling through Netflix trying to find the next thing, you know. I watch one episode of something, don't really like, you know, end up on YouTube watching random videos that I only watch because I'm bored, you know. Those times, that's when that's when I start thinking I could have been doing something else, you know. That's when I start getting like, ooh, I probably should have been reading, you know, like what have I been doing?
Yeah, if you then do not, if you don't distribute that time that you should have been reading to doing something that is at least a bit, you know, productive or you know, satisfying. But you're right. Those shorts, man, they can fucking get your attention real quick, and I just sit through them for fucking hours.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of both the beauty and the trap about YouTube in a way.
Yeah.
You really just you can just float,
Exactly.
drift.
Yeah.
Mm.
Really.
But I mean, then now that we're talking about our hobbies, like for example playing video games, are there any video games you have played recently that you really enjoyed? Because you know I don't play video games as much anymore, but
Yeah.
when I do, it's mostly story-based adventure games like AAA titles like The Last of Us.
Mm-hmm.
Dude,
Well, recently I've been playing on, because I got an Xbox like a couple months ago, as you know.
Yeah.
I've been on the Game Pass because I've been getting like I've been making new accounts to get like because there's like a first month for $1 instead of $10, and I keep making a new account and getting on it. So I've been playing like a lot of the games that I want to play. And recently, the last game I finished was one called Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice.
What type of video game was?
It's like it was a quite short one. It's like a third person like story adventure one.
Wow.
It's not like an open world. It's like a story based.
Yeah, like you have to follow this path specifically.
Yeah. But it was really yeah, it's linear. But it was really like it focused along the senses. Like it's very you need a good headset for it because it's like very sound based and like visual based, and it was one of the coolest gaming experiences I've had, just like purely like sensorily.
So it's one of these things where you have to confirm that you hear a certain thing in order to progress. Or is it just the experience is just you sort of it really plays on all your senses?
It plays on your senses. I mean, not like smell probably.
That would be kind of
that would be
impressive.
cool, yeah. But like there are things where it's like you need to hear to really progress, and also like because there is it's like it's a split between like there's combat scenarios and then there's like a lot of puzzles, like big open world puzzles, which are done in a really cool way. Like I haven't seen that before in games, and some of the puzzles are like very sound based or like visual based. Like there's these doors with like runes on them, and you need to find those runes in real life.
In real life?
No.
Oh,
no.
I misunderstood. I was like, holy shit, this
Yeah.
is an interactive video game.
Yeah, no, I misspoke. Like in the game, like you have to go away from the door and find these runes, but they're not like it won't just be like a hole in a door. Sometimes it is, but like sometimes it's like different like objects. You need to like look at them from the right angle, and then they make the rune, and then like you see that rune, then that rune unlocks on the door and stuff. Like different, and there's some like different puzzles where there's like these doors where like when you walk through them, the map you're in changes, and then you walk back through it, and it's really cool. And then during combat, there's not that many like markers for when the opponents like attack. It's more like you hear like voice, because it's a story about a girl like in medieval times who has she's going through like psychosis. She has like a lot of voices in her head.
Yeah.
And they like help during combat and stuff. They're like, watch out, and then like when someone's behind you, And that's
That's
like,
that's actually really cool.
it's really
Although
cool.
it's, it's a bit, that's a weird thing about the voices helping her. That's
Yeah.
kind of, so are they entirely a positive thing for her?
No,
Uh,
because they're also very because there's a bunch of voices, and they're like they produce doubt in her. You know,
mm.
there's so many they're like, oh, don't touch that, don't do it, you know. And it's like,
Yeah.
and it's really immersive. I really enjoyed playing it. Um, yeah,
Yeah, I also like I really like the video games that kind of almost speak to you, and I
Mhm.
don't mean just like the themes of the story really touch you, or just the story itself. I mean when they kind of they really interact with you in a way,
Mhm.
like a lot of smaller titles.
Yeah,
They do kind of this meta thing where there's a voice that actually that breaks the fourth wall and
Mhm.
speaks to the player, and these things are pretty cool. Although I think they can get dried out a bit quick,
yeah,
especially if they're overused. Like there's this video game that lets players sometimes play that's called There Is No Game, and I don't know if you've
mm.
heard of it.
No,
No, but the whole idea is, as I said, there is no game, and as soon as you open the game, there's the title, there is no game, and then the narrator comes in with a
yeah,
weird accent, and he's like, there is no game. You've come to the wrong place or something, and
yeah,
then you just fuck his entire life up in order to convince him. Yes, there is a game because I'm playing it right now.
ah,
Like I really like these kind of
yeah,
things that actually, because those are things that can easily grab your attention because they're kind of pulling you in almost quite literally because they're speaking to you, and
yeah,
when they're appealing to your senses, that's also a whole
Mhm.
other ball game.
Yeah,
And a video game with a great story can also do that. Like I
yeah,
mentioned, The Last of Us.
Mhm.
That but they do it in another way. And a video game with a great story and relatable themes in a lot of
Mhm.
ways. Those are the kind of things that kind of stick with you.
Yeah,
Whereas the video game I just described, that's a fun game.
yeah,
Like that's a fun experience. But it's not something where like 3 years from now I'm gonna remember it. Like I'll remember it because I remember it right now. But it's not gonna have as big an effect on me as a really long AAA title story adventure game.
no, yeah,
That's another thing.
yeah. I think another aspect of games I like is playing with friends, like games where I have experiences with my friends. I played a lot of online games in my life, and sometimes it can feel really shallow, especially in like I've played a lot of Call of Duty in my times, um, and like yeah, different games where like there's a lot of focus on grinding and like
Yeah.
playing a lot so that you get this little thing that'll make you a little bit better in the game, you know, or just like a cosmetic make it cooler, you know. And it's times like that where it's like it can feel a bit empty, but it's like, but then there's other games where I play with my friends, and it's like, and we have these moments where I'm like I had so much fun, you know, and it's not just like that it's fun, it's also like I remember some of these moments, you know, like if we're playing a big game where there's like two big teams, right? And then me
Yeah.
and my friends are like the only three people left on our team, right? And then we win against like 10 people because of like tactics, you know, we do like guerrilla warfare, like
Yeah.
and it's like moments, and then you actually win, and it's like, and you forget all those games where it's like you just get destroyed, or you know, or like nothing happens, and it's like those moments where I'm just like, yeah, I remember those.
Yeah. You can also get experience out of such like a first
Mm-hmm.
person shooter, for example. You can also get a lasting experience from those games.
Mm-hmm.
Although I think they are a bit more rare
Yeah.
in those games. But the beauty of those kind of games, like online games, is that those moments are put together in a new way every time.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas when you play, fucking keep mentioning The Last of Us, it's like the only game
But
I've ever played.
it's a great game.
It is a great game, but it's gonna be the same thing. Like you can play it in different ways, and you
Mm-hmm.
can notice details that you didn't notice
Yeah,
before.
but it's the same
Which
story.
it's the same story. But I do think those little details
Mm-hmm.
that you notice on a second playthrough kind of enrich the experience.
Yeah.
Some people call it useless, but I something that doesn't really do much. But I really like those little details, like
Yeah.
noticing a little snippet of dialogue that you didn't hear on your first
Yeah.
playthrough. But it's the same story, but in online video games, each time you have such an experience, it's like
Yeah.
it's a new game with your
Exactly.
friends, and you played this way, this time, and you know you were really great in this game. It kind of there's a
Yeah.
variation in it.
There's potential for storytelling that changes, you know?
Like Detroit Become Human. Do you mean
Oh no,
like this?
I mean, and there's also those games like Detroit Become Human, Until Dawn, but like in online, like there's the possibility of completely different stories, you know, compared to a game like The Last of Us. But like, and that doesn't mean that reliving the same story can have the same effects or new effects, right? Like I've watched the Lord of the Rings movies more
Yeah,
times than anything in my life, right?
yeah,
Like I love rewatching them, and it's the same story every time, you know. But it's like it's the emotions it gives me, you know, and it's like I will never get tired of rewatching them, even though I know exactly what's gonna happen. I know what they're gonna say. I can like I can speak the words as they're saying it, you know?
yeah. You probably have a mental map of the entire script. But do you think then that it also has a bit to do with like residue of the very first time you watched Lord of the Rings?
Yeah.
Like because that's kind of where nostalgia comes from.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you watch this movie that you've watched ever since you were little, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
and then watching it now, it has this nostalgia factor to it.
Yeah.
So that can also the previous times you watched the movie can maybe have an effect on the
Yeah.
quality of because you know I don't watch Harry Potter movies anymore because of
Mm.
the plot.
Yeah.
Like obviously I watch it because it has a great plot, I think.
Yeah, but it's not
But
like, oh, what's gonna happen next? You
no,
know?
it's not like you know I wonder what spell he's gonna. It's a Patronus. Oh shit, that
Oh.
you know it's I you know the reason why we watch Harry Potter movies, even some of the first two,
Yeah.
which are a bit more oriented towards children,
Yeah.
you know, is because we were children when we watched it,
Mhm.
and we have this nostalgia, this connection to it.
Yeah.
And that's why you know we go back and we watch these movies, and you know whenever you're going to watch. That's why people do things like Harry Potter marathons.
Exactly.
Like that's a thing, like
Yeah.
a marathon. You know, let's do it. And I always imagine people just kind of snuggling up under like a blanket and then watching. Like it's just it's a good time, but
Exactly.
it's you know,
Yeah. But one thing that, because there's a lot of movies that I'm very nostalgic towards, but that I don't keep returning to.
Mm.
The thing that also was with Lord of the Rings is that in different periods of my life, like I appreciated different parts of it. When I was younger and like throughout like my childhood, what I cared about was like the fights, you know? I didn't like to me the like the biggest parts weren't when like Frodo like the ring finally got destroyed, like Frodo um like getting corrupted or like Sam picking them up, you know? It wasn't those moments that like got me hyped or like made me emotional. It was like the fights, you know. That's what I was watching those movies for. But then gradually, as I got older, through like became a teenager and throughout my teenage years, like I began to appreciate the different parts of it, you know.
Mm.
And like and then at the end, I feel like now it's like I appreciate the whole thing, but like I still feel like I learn new things about them every time I watch it, you know, depending on my mood. Like there's been times where I've watched them where I've been in a really bad mood, you know, really like annoying time, and where it's just like cheered me up, you know. And I've watched them in really
Yeah.
happy times where like I just appreciate them, and it's like, and it's stories like those and movies like those that I keep coming back to, which I don't with a lot of other movies, even if they are nostalgic, you know.
Yeah.
Like like with Harry Potter, I watched a lot of them because they're nostalgic to me. But it's like Lord of the Rings, they are very nostalgic, but I also just they say something new to me every time.
Do you sometimes feel? Because I do sometimes feel like I get caught in this nostalgia trap, or just this kind of arrogance of like I know what's good and what's not, and then I have a hard time getting into a new series on Netflix, for example, that people have recommended for me, because I'm like, dude, I've watched Breaking Bad and I've watched
Yeah.
Better Call Saul. Like that is the top. That is the top dog of TV series, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Like I almost feel like I don't need to see this new thing,
Yeah.
and I also just generally have a hard time getting to do. I have a hard time doing stuff that are completely new to me,
Mm-hmm.
even if, or I guess watching a new TV series isn't completely new, but just
Yeah.
doing something starting something like, because watching a TV show is more of like a journey rather
Yeah.
than you just sit down and you watch a movie once.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
I have to be at least somewhat committed to watching this TV series
Yeah.
because I don't want to just start up on something and then quit it,
Yeah.
halfway through. But as we discussed, at the start of the podcast, I kind of distribute my time in a way so that I don't actually think about those, kind of gratifying things to do.
Yeah.
That they just sort of come to me, and given that that's the way they kind of manifest themselves in my life,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I have I don't think I can just sit down and watch an entire TV series, unless I'm convinced that it's really good, like
Yeah.
Breaking Bad. Then I will actually set time aside, because then it's worth it for me.
Yeah.
But it's
I guess it's also like as we get older and like get less time, have less time to just when I was younger, I watched 100 episodes of Naruto in
Yeah,
like a week, like
yeah.
even less. But it's like, and there's those things that we've watched for so long that like when we had the time to just watch whatever, or like play whatever, and it's like, and nowadays like we don't have unlimited time, I don't, and sometimes I'm like I don't end up starting a new TV show that I think I might enjoy, but I also might not, I don't want to waste the time.
No.
It's like, and there are these things where I'm like, these things are just really good, like I can always return to them,
Yeah.
and I know I would have a good time with them.
Yeah, so you also do this kind of thing where you
Mhm.
just sort of return to things you've already watched. I think
Yeah.
I've watched Breaking Bad like 4 times because
Yeah.
I know it's good. As you said, I know I'm gonna have a good time,
Mm-hmm.
but starting up on something new is hard. And we were just talking about TV series, but even something as like something like taking a new bus route that you haven't taken before. It's like I have to find out the minute thing. Okay, so when does it arrive and it gets up there? So I have to press
Yeah.
the stop. I have to press the stop button at a certain point. Like, and of course you have to be aware of those things every time you travel with a bus.
Yeah.
But I usually don't do it because it's new. I'm unfamiliar with it, and I'm a creature of habit. Isn't that what they say?
Yeah,
I do things I'm used to.
I think most humans are people of habits,
Mm.
Like it takes more out of us to do something new, of course, than it takes to do something we're familiar with. It takes more mental processing,
Sure, but some people seem to have an easier time of it than others.
Yeah, and maybe it's because some people like realize have reflected upon it. Maybe some people are just like born, they just go out and do
I
whatever.
want to try everything.
Yeah, but maybe it's also that like they've realized these things, that like there are good things that come with new things, right? Like when I watch new TV shows and like new good TV shows, right? Like it does exactly the same to me as like it did back then, like when I watched like one of those older TV shows for the first time, It's like and then suddenly they become one of my staples, It's like when I try new things, I really often enjoy it a lot.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
it's like but we are just people of habit where it's like it's hard to
it's almost as if we convince ourselves that we can't have that experience again,
exactly.
like we had with the previous TV show that we thought was good.
Mhm.
And then, as you say, we try the new thing, and then we get reminded that yes, you can actually have that experience again.
Exactly.
And then the experience that you have right now with the current TV show you're watching, that's gonna not replace, but it's gonna be put in the "this is what I know is good" bracket, and then
Exactly.
then this bracket somehow convinces you that nothing else can ever fill that bracket, like nothing else can ever match exactly this TV show.
Yeah.
But so no, it is. I think it's just a mind over matter, or maybe it's a matter over mind when it comes to trying new stuff. Like you just kind of have to almost go in a air pilot mode of being, and you just have to do it. You don't have to think.
Yeah.
Don't let your thoughts stop you about what you think is good. You just have to do it, and then your thoughts will eventually accept what you're doing.
Yeah.
I think that's something that's used in therapy a lot.
Yeah.
I believe. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, because like like in recent memory, some of those shows that have like become staples in my life, where I'm like I can return to these, are shows like Cobra Kai and The Boys.
Yeah.
But like I saw them quite late. Like I think Cobra Kai, Cobra Kai at least I like started watching when season 3 came out. You know, so it had already been out. But it was like, and I started watching those two around the same time, and it was like it was both periods where I'd like been searching for something new. I've been like I'd been getting like bored. I couldn't find what, I didn't know what to watch. You know,
Mm.
and I was like in that state of mind where I was like I can always return to like watch the first 4 to 6 seasons of Game of Thrones, right?
Yeah.
Because like I know that they're amazing, right? I can always return to watch Friends if I want to watch a sitcom, you know, because I've watched that so many times. I can watch Naruto, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, but then I watched those new ones, and it was like, and now they have become part of my stable, you know. And like I think it's just, yeah, we are like creatures of habit,
Mm.
and I very much very much am, and it's like, but I think I just like sometimes have to accept that sometimes I try something new and it won't land,
Yeah.
but then sometimes it will, you know, and then I'll be better for it.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I feel the same way. We just gotta try new stuff
Yeah,
and accept when it doesn't land, as you say.
exactly.
You know.
Yeah,
But
but it is like, yeah, when you don't have that much time, and like personally, like I have a lot of time compared to other people in my age, but it's like, but I still have way less than I did
yeah.
when I was in like 8th grade, you know, where I could just watch whatever.
Yeah, you know, that's the beauty of childhood. Some
Yeah.
childhoods, most I would
Some.
hope that you
Yeah.
know you.
At least in the West, it's most childhoods.
Yeah, in the West, that's probably the average childhood. It's just, you know, very blissful and
Yeah.
very giving when it comes to time.
Yeah.
But people often say that I wish I knew when I was in the good days before they were over.
Mm.
But to me, it's like if you knew back then I don't think they'd be the same good days that
No.
you have in your memory. If you were aware that this you should be enjoying, if you constantly reminded yourself back then that I need to enjoy this,
Then you probably,
wouldn't enjoy it.
yeah, exactly. Then you'd be where we are now, where we're like, I need to enjoy this when I'm finally doing something.
Yeah, yeah. It's really a sucky thing, this thing about becoming older. You just kind of get more aware of your experiences to the point where it almost sucks the life out of them.
Yeah.
Um,
But like at the same time, like when I look back at childhood and stuff, I don't think back and I'm like, oh, my life was better back then.
mm,
My life was more blissful.
yeah,
Parts of my life were a lot better, you know, but I didn't know nearly as much as I do now. I was ignorant to so many things, you know. I thought I knew some things, but I didn't, you know. And it's like, right, like I hadn't,
yeah,
even though some things are harder now, it's also like I feel like it's better, you know. Right? It's like when you see more of the world, or like experience more things, you know. Like you naturally when you grow up, right? Like whether it be death or in the family, whether it be stress, whether it be a bunch of things, right? And it varies from person to person in different places, right?
mm,
But it's like everyone goes through hardships, right? Like hard times. But it's like I don't see that as like I wouldn't want to return to childhood, you know?
no, because but you know, I think almost every adult would say that they wouldn't want to return to childhood because they have the mind of an adult.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you know, but it's yeah, it's weird, man. It's weird. Of course, there are great things about one great thing about becoming older is just you know, having the freedom to make some decisions yourself.
Mm.
That's what actually makes you feel like an adult.
Mm.
That's at least what made me feel like an adult was, you know, moving out,
Yeah.
deciding what to have for dinner. Not like it's not
Mhm.
your mom or whoever your parent is cooking for you,
Yeah.
and washing your own clothes, like little stuff like that you have to do, you know, autonomously now.
Yeah.
That's a great pro about becoming older. Like I'm not saying that it's fucking awesome, like washing your clothes, like oh it's a party, I get to wash my clothes again.
Yeah.
You know, it's more like it's I guess it's the accumulation, the feeling of satisfaction you get from doing it like I did then.
Yeah.
That's a great thing about becoming older. Although, you know, I think the reason why we look back in childhood and and we sometimes get this like feeling of nostalgia is because it's just it was before the whole package of becoming an adult kind of hit us. It's because even though I mentioned one of the great pros about becoming an adult just now, it's not it's not fun all of the times. And
Yeah.
but it's a weird thing because children also, one of the things, loss, you mentioned it,
Mm.
that is very hard, probably one of the hardest things about being an adult is experiencing loss. The fucked up thing is that children also experience
Exactly.
that's weird to think about, that
Yeah.
some children get that experience very, like, so some people get that experience very early,
Mm-hmm.
and almost in a stage in their life where they don't actually have the tools to process it fully.
Exactly. Like, and the thing is, like, because we can only speak from our own experiences in this topic, right? And because there are people, like, there are children who have to mature so much older, because if they don't, it could mean, life or death sometimes. It's like
Mm.
like like some kids go through massive loss, some kids lose both parents, and then if you're not in a country where there's, like, where the state helps you, where you then, like, you and your siblings go to, like, like a state, what's it called, like a foster care or something, it's
Foster
like
home, yeah.
foster home, yeah. Like then you'd have to take care of your own siblings at the age of 12. It's like and yeah, like, I don't think, just like psychologically, kids are like, have the tools to process such hardships at that point in their life, but some people are forced to, you know
Yeah, it's astounding what humans can do at such a young age.
mm-hmm.
Like having to take care of your siblings at such a
Mm-hmm.
young age,
Yeah.
and essentially become the mother
Mm-hmm.
of your siblings who might just be 2 years younger than you.
Yeah.
And the fact that some people can do that, like, it's almost a biological endpoint to childhood before it should have ended.
Yeah.
The child stops becoming a child and is now an adult at the age of 8. Like, if
Yeah.
someone lost their parents, as you said.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the kind of things that kind of make me think that humans are really capable of handling hardship like, humans are tough, man. Like, a lot more tough than we sometimes give them credit for.
Yeah.
Humans are very tough. If they can make that mental switch, and I know it's not just like this.
Yeah.
But if they can do that at such a young age, like, human beings are fucking tough, man.
Yeah. I
So,
think most human beings have the potential to, like, mature so quickly. It's just a problem when it has, like, when people are forced to do it, like,
Yeah.
because, and some kids who, like, go through hardships very early on can end up having normal lives when they're older, right? But most don't. Most like, grow up with a lot of baggage, that they really need to process, and some don't have, like, the opportunity to process it, like, but like you said, like, humans are really resilient,
Yeah.
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 But there's also, like, more of, like, an ideal. There's also more, like, ideals, It's like even though a child can, like, become, like, take over that role, that doesn't mean they should ever have to,
Yeah.
because, like, yeah, it's, like, it's fucked up.
And also, it is fucked up, but also, I don't know if it would. Do you think that the society would be better off if human beings experienced such things, or at least equally, um, mentally taxing things at such a young age, so that they, mature quicker? Because I think, because I also don't think there's a guarantee that they will mature.
No.
I think that most humans, as we've just talked about, are resilient enough so that they can kind of pick up the baton and just kind of take control of their life in a way,
if they have to.
If they have to. But even sometimes, if they have to, I don't know. I don't know enough about this, but I don't know if everyone put in that situation would be able to act in a way that in probably the most optimal way that you possibly could.
No.
I think some would break and some would
Yeah.
keep standing.
Yeah. And I mean, because that's also another part of it. It's not like an 8-year-old who suddenly has to take care of their siblings becomes a mother role, you know?
No.
It's not like they can't teach their siblings what they need, like give them what a mother can give them or what a father can give their siblings, you know? Like, and they also don't get like, because like imagine us at 8 or 10, you know? Like how much more did I need? Like if my parents just left at that age, right? Like I wouldn't be able to just go on and be like, oh, I'll just like take a crash course throughout my like teen years, you know?
Yeah.
It's like it's like people are very resilient. People can take up roles and like they can get through hardships, but it's still not ideal, you know?
Yeah.
I think there's definitely more like, I mean, it was just like empirically, you know, like the tougher someone's childhood has been, the more problems they can have later on, you know? Like there are more like ideals there, you know?
But do you then think that a person who has some of these, problems early on, who don't, who then gets the proper help in order to kind of, I don't know if rehabilitative is the correct word, but they get a lot of these problems sorted out in a way that they can keep on going in life in a productive manner and in a somewhat healthy manner.
Yeah.
Do you think those are like better prepared for life than a person who has, just had a regular childhood in the West and who has grown up, who, maybe the question would be then someone who experiences these things at a later age, like not at the age of 8 years, but maybe 18 years, who also find the, who then at that point have the tools to kind of overcome it. But given the fact that some people have, risen above that at an earlier age, at like 8, would those be better off? Would they be more robust in when it comes to handling the challenges of life?
I mean, I think there's a lot of variables in a question like that, such as like what are like what is life, you know, like what are those hardships, you know, like what does it mean to do better in life, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Like, but
Yeah,
let's
but
take a
like
thing such as loss, for example.
yeah, I mean, I think it can completely vary, you know, like I think if you've been through a lot of like traumatic shit and throughout your childhood, I think you get better at like closing off your emotions later on, but I wouldn't necessarily call that good.
Now, closing off seems kind of dysfunctional.
Yeah,
Like closing
right?
off.
Like
But
and of course like we're not like there's a lot of components that goes into this, right?
yeah,
Like I don't know the research, I don't know the you know like what a professional would say about this. Obviously, this is just us waffling
the
about
podcast
something.
is called "Let's Just Talk."
Yeah,
We're not professionals.
Yeah, it's just about yeah. But we yeah. So but like I think it completely depends like if what it means is to like when they then in their like older meet like have death in their family, will they be better to like at processing it, or will they be better at not showing the outside world that they're upset, you know?
Yeah, I think processing it would be what I'm interested to know. Like,
Yeah.
not that I'm expecting an answer from you, but just it's interesting to talk about. If a society with people who have experienced things like loss at such an early age would create people, and given the fact that they've gotten the tools from others in order to. But then again, if an entire society consists of people who've lost someone at an early age,
Which not
who
a lot.
exactly is gonna give you the like who's gonna be the first person to give you that there should at least be one man or woman who has just gotten a regular old
Yeah.
time of life, and then they should help.
Yeah.
But
Like
it's a weird thing.
I mean, it also completely depends on like what happens afterward. Like, is this a child that loses both parents, but then comes into like a new caring like family, and goes through like throughout their teens like a lot of like mental health, you know, or like goes to therapists a lot, you know, and like with a really loving family and everything's normal, compared to one that then like loses their parents and then goes through like foster homes throughout their life, right, and then grows
Mm.
up. Like there's such a big difference at whatever happens after, you know.
Yeah, I thought more in the terms of, if they actually got the necessary tools in order to, but
Yeah.
obviously if they don't get the proper help that they need after such an
Yeah,
experience, then it's probably gonna end in a dysfunctional,
Yeah.
pathological way.
yeah. But like even like someone who's had everything great after then, you know,
Yeah,
like completely the same as like the control. I think it just like it still really depends, you know,
yeah,
like because we also need to like the question about what does processing loss mean, you know, like afterwards,
yeah.
like
Do we look at it from the what is it, 7 stages of loss, or
like grief.
grief?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Like do they go through those like healthily? Or, like, you know, like like how do we measure it? How do we measure what child like which of these two people at 18 is then better at processing loss?
well, there are probably certain markers,
Probably.
like it's easy to make a distinction between someone who's very much caught up in it, like let's say still
Yeah.
3 years after the loss of this loved one, which, by the way, we're not like criticizing anyone who are, because
No.
loss is fucking tough.
Yeah, and it
But
affects everyone differently.
it does, but it is easy to make a distinction between an individual such as that and someone who just kind of seems like they've kind of accepted it. They don't have a problem talking about it. They can speak openly about, this is what happened.
Yeah.
This is how I felt about it, and this is where I am now, and
Yeah.
I'm doing great. Like,
And like
some people will just kind of let you know, you know.
yeah, of course, like in the extremes, like some people like create like addictions or depression, right?
Yeah, yeah.
PTSD, right? And like you can still have PTSD. Like PTSD is probably not the best
No,
example, right? But like depression, even like 3 years after, right? Like imagine losing like a child, right? Or like a loved one, like a your wife or your husband who you've been together with for so long, right? Like and it can like it's not to quantify that some loss is harder, right? But it's just examples of people who take it harder, you know?
yeah.
Like right, like people who've lost a child can like feel that for so long, right?
Yeah, I almost imagine the thing about, I can really relate to having a child
No,
in any sort of way.
exactly.
Like that I think that's one of the things where you have to have one before you know it. At least that's what
Yeah,
people who are parents keep telling you. Like, you gotta try. You don't know what.
yeah,
But I would imagine that losing a child is probably like, some of the toughest shit
Yeah.
ever. Yeah, like losing your mom is probably fucking tough. And
yeah.
but
Losing anyone you care about is very tough.
exactly. But I've just, with, the thing about children is, I've heard that connection to them is,
Yeah,
and then maybe it's the biological thing, like your genes. At least if you were talking about
yeah,
your biological child, your genes are inside this
yeah.
person.
But yeah, and it could also be because I think like the same reaction could come from like an adopted child. You know, it's like I think it's just something about yeah. I think losing a child is one of the hardest things anyone can go through.
Yeah, I definitely think it's top tier when it comes to losses.
So in the top of our tier list, we have losing a child.
Losing a child, that
In the bottom, we have
put
losing.
right above, losing your mother or some shit.
Yeah, losing like a long time spouse, and then after that we have like short time spouse, of course, and
I have a strategy. When it comes to dealing with the loss of my spouse, I'm just gonna marry her, because then I'm probably gonna end up hating her anyway. So I get the years of loving her to begin with, and then when it's nearing the end, I just sort of marry her, and that's when couples usually start to hate each other, and then the loss won't be as bad. So that's the way I'll deal with it. I'll just take all the good loving years at the beginning, the middle, and then when we will kind of reach the end, when she starts getting wrinkles, I'll just marry her.
but what if she dies while you're still in love with her? Like,
Well, you don't want to have that.
Okay,
You just gotta marry. you just gotta. That's unfortunate. That's gonna hurt. Just gotta marry her at the proper time. That's a strategy I use.
So you're just okay, because you know that once two people marry, they start hating each other. Well,
Oh,
at
most
least
definitely.
50% of the time, right? Isn't that
Most,
like
yeah,
divorce rates? Yeah,
yeah.
I don't
That
know in Denmark, but like
like that's
you
you
just
know
you just know you're gonna hate whoever you marry,
yeah
right?
yeah because
And they're gonna hate you.
I think I will actually because I think I'm gonna feel trapped in a marriage. I
Mm.
mean I don't like the idea of kind of putting our bonds, like arranging our bond in an external way, like doing a marriage. I just when I have like a romantic connection to someone, I just want it to be that. I just want it to be the feelings that we have for each other. But I think if I were to ever do like a marriage and kind of here's the priest, here's the ring, here's the you are now allowed to kiss your bride, then
Mm.
I think I would feel kind of like, okay, so we've said it now, so now it's out there in the universe that we're together. But I kind of like it.
It doesn't have to be that formal. You also don't need a
No,
print like a priest. Like I could get a marriage certificate and I could
yeah,
wed you. I'm not a priest.
yeah, you could definitely do that. But for me personally, I
It's
don't.
just like the feeling of like
Yeah, I don't see the necessity of marriage. But I'm still young. When I find someone that I truly love,
it's different,
it might
probably.
it might
I
change.
mean, some people don't ever want to marry, and I think that's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, yeah. I mean, I know I want to like I want to marry my girlfriend at some point, you know.
yeah.
And it's like, and because obviously there's like the benefits of like like someone you're married to, like there are just like from the law, man, like like there are benefits to being married to someone, but it's also just like, and it's not like I don't care if like other people know that me and her are like bonded, you know. It's more like just for us, you know. It's like
For
the next step. But it's
yeah,
like
yeah,
I guess it's different from everyone.
yeah. But to me, it's not as much people knowing it. I don't care about other people, but
No,
people.
yeah.
It's more like me consciously knowing that now we put it onto a ring that's
Mm.
on your finger.
Yeah.
I'm just more like, I, I, my mind will probably change, but right now I'm more like I prefer just telling you that I love you, and we have this thing, and let's just this works. Let's just keep it this way.
Yeah.
You know.
I'll be excited to like this is like our second podcast. I'm excited to in like 5 years see if it's changed.
If we keep this going,
I'll be like, so I got married.
yeah.
But I think it's about time.
Well, thank you for listening. If anyone have, um,
I hope it's been interesting at the very least to hear us mumble about things. And if there's anyone watching still this point and you have anything interesting to say or anything that you either want to correct us on or talk to us on, discuss.
yeah, you should throw some topics in the comment section
Yeah,
if you
for sure.
if you want to, because we need something to talk about.
All right. Goodbye.